who has entered the stage, and we will send you now downstairs to the media room to cover the announcement of a change in field manager and coaching staff.
Well,
here's Mark Shapiro.
Obviously a announcement that I never envisioned having to make, and a very difficult day for me, both personally and professionally. After extensive discussions internally, I met with Eric Wedge and the staff last night to let them know that we're not going to have Eric back as manager in 2010. And as is consistent with our processes and our beliefs in the past, also feel strongly that the next manager should have a strong voice in determining his staff. So as of now, the staff also will not be back for next year. Over the past 7 years as Major League Manager, over the 5 years before that as a manager in our minor league system, Eric has been the epitome of a team player. He's demonstrated consistency, strength, a tireless work ethic, and in my mind, as an exemplary leader. It's been a privilege to work with him, and I think everyone in this organization has benefited from his impact and will continue to benefit in the years to come. In addition, obviously, he and his wife, Kate, have been very intricately involved in numerous charities at a leadership level and a participatory level throughout this community. I think we also owe a debt of gratitude to both Kate and Eric for their involvement in our community. The staff as well, a group of men that gave of themselves tirelessly, tremendous work ethic, passion for the game, desire to help our players achieve their potential, part of some very successful development stories, and hopefully a core part of the initial development of the next group of players going forward. As to why we've made this decision, I've consistently communicated to you that accountability lies across an organization. It starts with me, extends to our baseball operations staff, certainly to Eric, to his staff, and to our players as well. In this game, situations often dictate decisions, and often the blame or the change occurs in one place for what largely, when the reasons for that and the accountability lies throughout an organization. In this case, as we examined everything and looked at the situation in its entirety, we felt it was the right time to make a change with Eric. Not an easy place to get to. It involved extensive discussion with Larry and Paul Dolan, Chris, and myself. Good dialogue, give and take, back and forth. But in the end, we arrived at that decision collectively that this was the right time for a change for our organization. Going forward, I do think we've got a good situation here going forward. It's hard to see at times right now with so many of the players hurt. We've got an excellent young core of position players. We've got bullpen arms that are continuing to develop and beginning to start to show their potential. We've got a good situation for someone to come in here and I think lead this organization going forward. But today is not going to be about discussing that. Within a week, I'll get together with you again, talk about that process, talk about those specifics. Today is about, dealing with Eric's situation and the transitioning steps for Eric and his staff. Questions?
Mark, I know you evaluated Eric on the entirety of the season. What role did the recent slide, the 11-game losing streak, the struggles through September play in the season?
Yeah, I think we looked at things in its entirety. I'm not going to delve into specifics. I hope you can respect that. But I'm not going to get into specific reasons or the components within the decision. I can just say that at the end, we arrived collectively that it was the right time for a change.
Mark, when did you guys decide?
The exact timing I think is not important, but it's fairly recently, and immediately after I talked to Eric about it and determined that this was the right, that he and his staff continuing in their roles was consistent with who Eric is as a man and as a professional, and that's the way that he wanted to do it. He wanted to finish the job at hand, and I think we all agreed that was the most respectful way to handle the situation going forward.
You've had to make a lot of tough calls with trades and whatever. Where does this rank for you as far as tough decisions?
You know, I think it's very hard to delineate between a number of very difficult decisions. It would be hard to say that there would be anyone that's that would be more a combination of more personally and professionally difficult for me. Because again, I think, you know, in looking at this situation, the other ones that have been tough personally, I think the business situations dictated some pretty clear, you know, decisions with the information at hand at those moments. You know, this one is just not that clear. It's not that black and white when it gets down to Major League staff. You know, it is more situational. It's a bunch of different things that surround the situation, and direct accountability for contributions to what has happened is much more difficult, you know, to ascertain.
Mark, with the last 2 seasons, the expectation level is very, very high. How much of a determinant was the consistency of the slow starts to the point where you had to make all the other decisions that go with it, and virtually by early June, you know that you're not going to be contending for the postseason?
Yeah. Again, I think we did have high expectations as a team the last 2 years. Again, I hope you'll respect that I'm not going to get into, you know, where the individual components within a decision played into the overall ending decision. But a lot of different things went into, you know, us arriving at this point.
Mark, you sound almost reluctant to have to do this. Are you totally on board?
Absolutely. I mean, I think, again, we arrived at a decision collectively. My reluctance is just is more dealing with my emotions, and I think my underlying respect for Eric and the job he's done here, and the challenge that this presents to me personally, probably.
Feel like fresh start will help with a new group of players?
I do feel like anytime there's change, there's an opportunity, you know, and that we as an organization need to seize that opportunity and need to look at that as a challenge to ensure